Listen, my students know I never want to talk about economics. I never want to talk about taxes or tariffs or whatever. But unfortunately, we got to talk about taxes because that's what Trump's great big beautiful BBL bill is all about. It's about tax cuts. And to talk about this, I want to show you this graphic, which I think is actually really helpful. Yes, it's way oversimplified, but it's going to help give us context for tax rates throughout American history, something very boring but very important. Keep in mind the graph really starts in the 1910s because that's when the 16th Amendment was passed, allowing the federal government to levy an income tax. Now, when I look at this graph, I notice a few things. First, I notice that income tax rates, looking at the highest that someone could be taxed and the lowest that someone could be taxed. If I look at them right now where they are in the context of American history, they're incredibly low. That's something that I would notice, right? The only other time they've been this low is this little dip right here. What is that? Oh, the 1920s, the roaring 20s. Sure, flappers and the Leonardo DiCaprio gif, but also this mass culture of deregulation, this mass culture of laissez-faire capitalism, this Calvin Coolidge idea of the business of America is business. The 1920s is really the beginning of conservative fiscal policy. Basically, we need to deregulate, the government needs to stay out of the economy and just sort of let it run and things will work out. Spoiler, things did not work out. Cut to 1932, FDR gets elected, the Great Depression is raging, and all of a sudden we see these tax rates go way up. What we know though is we also know that those taxes are fueling public programs, social services that are meant to help the people struggling during the Great Depression. And what's interesting is that they stay high even after the Great Depression. Okay, fine, you can say World War II. Even when World War II is over, even when the United States is on top of the world, quite literally, tax rates are staying incredibly high for decades throughout what American historians understand as the United States Golden Age. So why the change? We see a dramatic drop all of a sudden in tax rates right around 1980. It's Morning in America again, Ronald Reagan. What this tells me is that boomers were perfectly happy, white boomers were perfectly happy to benefit from really high income tax rates that are fueling public programs, that are fueling cheap access to school, to college, to jobs, to health networks, whatever. They were fine with that until they are now at the moment in their careers where they're at the top of the income tax rates. And also, more cynically, they turn around and see the liberalism of the 60s and 70s and realize that more and more diverse people are getting access to those public programs than ever before. And they say, well, no, this is now wasteful. We need to cut a lot of that spending. We need to cut the taxes, which will then in turn cut a lot of those programs. This has been the conservative MO since the 1980s, and it's been masterful. It's been incredibly popular because on the surface, for most people who aren't really paying attention, Republicans get to be the party of fiscal responsibility. We're going to cut your taxes. We're going to put money back in your pocket. Then it devastates public programs that everyone relies on. And if Democrats want to restore those programs, what do they have to do? They have to raise taxes.